So this is about Christy, her husband Gary, and his side chick. So Christy and Gary met in college and they fell madly in love and they started working. And Gary was such a hardworking, visionary man. So he worked hard, bought land, and built a house. Christy was so happy and excited, and it just made, Gary also happy to see the woman he loves so happy. Yeah. And so Christy decided to be, working from home. And Gary was working in an office. Yeah. So he would go to the office every single day, drive to the office, and come back home. So he actually always looked forward to coming home because Christy always made him the best meals, and they didn't have a child yet, so it was just the two of them. And they would make mad, passionate love, that kind of sensual love that just makes you wanna, just smile and enjoy pillow talk, and you just want to stay and cuddle. So that was the kind of love they made. So and Gary loved this. Actually, he always looked forward to going home. Every time after office work, office hours, he would just get into his car and just drive home to his wife. And they would sit, talk, eat and dance. It was a happy life, okay? So one day, Gary is driving from work and then he meets this beautiful lady on the road crying. And so he's wondering, okay, pretty lady, what is going on? And then she just turns away from him because, he's a man, so she can't trust him. And then he assures her, he tells her, okay, look, it's almost raining, and I know you're cautious because I'm a man, but I'm not going to do anything. I just want you to get home first. Is that okay? Okay? Then you can sort out and everything at home. And then she looks at him to just be sure if she can trust him. And she says, yeah, sure, okay. He seems trustworthy. So she gets into the back left of the car just in case, of course, for security. And they drive home. And all the way while they're driving, they didn't talk much, but she just kept, showing him, giving him the directions to her place. And when they arrived at her place, actually Gary discovered, hey, you're my neighbor. Yeah, just, not far from here. And so she said, oh, okay, well, thank you. I appreciate your kindness. And then he's like, hey, it's okay, you're welcome. And I'm Gary. And she smiled at him and she said, thank you, Gary. You're a kind man. My name is Sally. And that smile captivated Gary so much that he could not stop thinking about her at all. The entire week, he would actually just use that route the entire week, hoping to find Sally. But he didn't. Then one day after church, when he's leaving church with his wife, Christy, and they're driving home, he sees Sally, on the roadside walking with her friends. And he's like, wow, this is my chance, but what am I going to do? So he drives his wife home very fast. And then he gets home and makes an excuse that, oh, babe, I have to rush to the office. My boss just called. And, I'm really up for the promotion, so I really want to put my best foot forward. So Chris is like, oh yeah, baby, it's okay, just go, because I also have to rush to the church investment group meeting. So I'll see you in the evening. He's like, yeah, sure, I'll see you. So they kissed and they parted ways. Christy has her own car and Gary has his. So Gary quickly drove to meet up with Sally. So, and luck was on his side because he found Sally still walking, strutting, slowly, gracefully like a swan. And he stopped and he drew his windows down and was like, hey, neighbor. And Sally was like, hello, Gary. So Gary's like, so can we go for, would you like me to drop you home? Or is a Sunday lunch better after church? And Sally giggles like, I think a Sunday lunch would be nice. And then she got into the car and they drove off somewhere very far, of course, can't be within the vicinity because Christy will find out. So they went somewhere far away and they talked, they laughed. The date actually lasted for like 7 hours. Yes. So Gary came home late. And then he dropped her home. And from that day, they just started dating and seeing each other even more and more and more. So now Gary, because things were getting so serious, Gary rented her an apartment. And that's why he would go and they would make mad, passionate love. Like, wow, it was. Gary's like, I have never had this kind of experience. Like, I don't know what Sally was doing, but Sally was rocking him. She was rocking his magic stick, yeah? So on this other side, Christy began noticing that Gary is coming home late and the passionate love making has reduced, the excitement has kind of, dwindled a little bit. So one day Gary tells Christy, hey babe, I'm going for a business trip this weekend. So the company needs us to be somewhere so that we can go in, showcase company's business and network. So Christy's like, oh yeah, that's fine, that's fine. And during this weekend, Christy invites her sister Chastity, who comes over to chill, keep her company. And Chastity notices Gary's badge next to the TV and she asks her sister, like, where did Gary tell you he was going? And she was like, he told me he was going to go to work, some work stuff, business trip. And then she asked her, why is his badge here? And Christy's like, oh, maybe he forgot. Let me call him. It could be very urgent. So Christy calls Gary, but Gary does not pick. Okay? And she calls him like 3 times, 4 times even, but he doesn't pick. The truth is, Gary actually saw Christy's calls, but he was making love to Sally and he was bending her over, banging her, ramming her like a beast. So he ignored the calls, okay? So the following morning, he picks up his phone and calls, and Christy asks him, like, babe, where did you say you're going? Oh, I was going for a walk, company business, meeting and stuff. He's like, okay, do you have your badge? And Gary says, yeah, sure, I can't forget it. And that's when Christy and Chastity looked at each other and Christy knew something was wrong. So Christy reaches out to her Auntie Lori to help her out. And Auntie Lori said, it's okay, I'll help you out. They go to someone that Aunt Lori knows and that person gives her some powder and tells her to sprinkle it in Gary's car. She does that. Okay, so by this time, Gary and Sally have dated for months, and now Sally is pregnant with Gary's child, and Gary's so excited because he really likes Sally. Okay, so Sally finally goes into labor but loses the child, and Gary's always there for her and stuff like that. He even has a personal nurse to take care of her while she's recuperating. Then one day, Gary receives a call from the landlord at Sally's apartment saying, hey, sir, I think your lady is having problems, mental problems, so I think you need to take her to an asylum. Gary's like, asylum? Why? And then he's like, okay, you know what, let me just come and see her. Okay, so Gary quickly drives to Sally's apartment and what he sees really shocks him. Yeah, Sally was actually her hair was unkempt and her clothes were dusty and she was chasing, passers-by. She was chasing people in the streets and hurling insults at them, and all that stuff. Gary is puzzled and embarrassed to approach her. Okay, so he rolls up his windows and he just goes home to his wife because that's the only safe place he can think about at this moment. Yeah, and he goes back home to his wife and, swallows his pride and guilt and accepts. And of course, they don't talk about it with his wife, but he just lets it go with Sally and he sticks to his wife. Yeah. So guys, thank you for listening. This is chapter 6. Look out for chapter 7 and please like, comment and share. Bye. Thank you.